Right. Last but certainly not least, we have you, my dear Librans. Welcome back. This is Aluminum Terror. Thanks so much for joining. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you here. We're reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, or Ascendant, if you like to call it that. And we're going to be reading for the sign for the month of April 2026. So we're currently in April, and we do have a full moon in Libra, if I'm not mistaken. That was either sometime around this period going to take place. I haven't really been keeping up with the astrology. I'm not going to lie too much about that. But good news is that we have the cards, and we'll see what's taking place in these cards for your particular, month of April, and see how the springtime is going to treat you. So, pulled a bit of heavy cards here, but we'll go ahead and work our way through the messages to try to understand what specifically is taking place here. So, as always, if you like this channel, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments below. Even if you want to just chat shit or say anything, shoot the breeze, feel free to do that in the comments section, and that's going to be it. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and read for you Librans. Now, recent past, you have the Seven of Swords. That is your energy. This is clarified by your energy as well. Empress in reverse. So, as we look at this, we're seeing someone who has essentially been found out, or they have been, I'm getting Jane's Addiction song in my head, caught stealing. And I don't know, you can go look that song up on YouTube or something like that. But there's the lines, we walked out through the door, walked out through the door. That's playing in my head right now. I don't know why, but it seems to me like either you or someone that you know has been caught stealing. And that could be stealing time, it could be an affair, extramarital affair, or it could, potentially have been someone being found out at work doing something unscrupulous behind your back, or vice versa. And with clarifying that is the Empress in the reverse. That means that there is something either that has been smothering or that has just simply failed to materialize. Like when you have the Empress in the reverse, that's, I hate to use the word, but that's straight up abortion energy. And that's when you're trying to give birth to something and it just miscarries, or like you kill it off through self-sabotage. Not to say like, we're not going to get into the abortion debate, but this is the image that I am getting in my mind. So I'm not throwing shade to anyone who, has specific views on abortion and whatnot. I'm just speaking what the cards tell me at this particular moment in time. Now, whatever self-sabotage did befall this relationship, it then moves into the current energy, which is now the Hangman and the Four of Cups. So these are two very kind of static energies right now. And with these two, they talk about, number one, feeling stuck. But additionally, feeling stuck for a reason and a purpose. You're trying to figure out what went wrong, and you're now trying to essentially isolate yourself from the outside world to try to understand, which actions you took, which actions the person you were involved with took. How did I get into this mess is the expression that I'm getting in my head right now. And however this, did take place, you do see here that this person sat here thinking about it quite heavily. It's got the crow above them, but, you have the Four Cups there. Normally, you have three cups that are sat in front of you, spilt over. And that's the Three of Cups that, normally entails the Three of Cups that talks about multiple people being involved, having fun, maybe a little bit too much fun. And when the fourth cup is offered to you, you're like, no, I'm going to just relax. I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to rest here for a minute. Because the 4 is the number of stability. This is also the number of the Emperor. you had the 3 here, which is the Empress, which is about expansion. So one is a bit more reserved and focused, the masculine. The feminine is more expansive and willing to give birth to new things. Now, in your specific energy, what I see is a person who understands now, or is trying to understand, kind of the feelings of loneliness and isolation that have led up to this specific issue. So, say, for example, you were the one that was cheating. You were the one doing unscrupulous things behind other people's backs. Well, you're asking yourself, why did I resort to these types of behaviors in order to do this? And now that I'm found out, what is it that I need to do or work on that can help me to rectify this situation? If you're not thinking that and you're just like, I got away with it and I do it again, then that is basically up to you and that's your karma. But realize that you will pay that back in full at some point in your life or the next. Moving forward, we do have the 10 of Cups clarified by the 6 of Swords. And with these 2 cards, what they tell us is that you are not happy that you have to move on from this situation. And in doing so, you realize the dissolution of something that made you very happy. This could have been a family situation where you did have some kind of family dynamic. You may now be losing your wife and kids, or your husband and kids. You may be losing half your assets and the house and all that other stuff. But unfortunately, you're realizing it is also the consequences of action. So if this is a person that you are entailed with, then that person would be feeling that as well. So take it as it resonates, and remember, this is an algorithm. It is not your story always. The reason why I say all of this is because we go into the signifier, which is the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. And with 6 Pentacles in the reverse, we talk about people who are simply not willing to give. It's an imbalance of give and take. And in doing so, people sometimes, they're not really certain how they should interact in the dynamic of a relationship, especially a relationship where it's a practical matter. And see here, we have the 3 of Swords in the reverse as well, which is what I just pulled out. We oftentimes feel very shut off or shut down when we're trying to get over heartbreak and things that have cropped up in the past, which have now led to the dissolution of something which could have been very positive. And you're now going within, because this is in your outcome, you're going within to try to understand what all that was. Now, in your specific situation with this 9, this is the Hermit. The Hermit goes inwards. They use the light of this star to guide them through the dark night of the soul. And this is what is supposed to bring the Hermit wisdom. So that represents Virgo. I myself being a Virgo moon. This can tell me a lot about the times in which I know that I need my personal space. And I've seen this in other people with very strong Virgo charts as well. When we need personal space, it is because we're just needing to be in our own energy, guide ourselves, to meditate, to contemplate things, to understand our life, and to actually just kind of bring our energy to a level of balance. And in order for that to take place, we need to tell other people to simply and politely fuck off for a bit. And it is very, very important for Virgos to have their alone time. So that way, they're not being besmirched by the multitude of energies around them, whether those are friends, family, and so on, or circumstances and situations which may have been causing some strife as well. But that ability is very crucial and critical because it allows for us Virgos to self-reflect. And this gives us perspective as to how we can tackle things in the future. Going into that a bit more, When we know and we realize we have to move on from a very unhappy or difficult situation in life, or maybe we know that our life is falling apart, but we do know that we're going to get to the other shore, not necessarily unscathed, but we'll get to the other shore knowing that things will be all right in the end. And so, clarifying that hermit, we have the Sun in the reverse and the Eight of Cups. So this is about things are not really clear, but you are walking away. You have the Six of Swords also in this reading as well. So it's telling us like this is the definitive. You're moving on, whether you like it or not. But lo and behold, things will be okay in the near future, as long as you take whatever lessons that you need to learn in order to move out of the chaos of what has been created. Again, if this is you and this is your reading, these are the things that you've been doing, whether in work, in love, so on, fucking own it and deal with it and take accountability. And that is the first step that you can take to healing the situation, both within yourself and with the person in question. If this is someone that you know and that you have been with and have tolerated for a long time, then it is also important that you own that as well. Because for this to get to this type of situation, this type of level of, entropy, this has been brewing and developing over a long period of time. And it seems to me that neither individual in this relationship really wanted to face the music, but now they're being forced to. And so when you have the Six of Pentacles and the Three of Swords both in the reverse, it's about a person who is not sure what they should do regarding the heartbreak that they're trying to get over. And they're not taking the initiative to remove themselves from that heartbreak or to process it. So it is incumbent upon that individual to start taking the reins of their life and their relationship, so that way they're not stuck in these negative patterns anymore. It's the advice for Libra. It's the advice for Libra. So again, wow, okay, I drew a card. This is the card that came out. So this is the Lovers, and in the Lovers we are making a choice guided by Archangel Raphael, which is allowing people to see what it is that they need to do in order to make a lifelong decision. And after the Lovers, you make the choice to move to the Chariot. You're allowing the universe then to guide and direct you into the next phases of your life. And these are crucial phases. So whatever it is that you choose to do now, remember, the choices you make will set up the stage and the presence that you will endure for a significant period of time. So say, for example, you're at a job, someone does something wrong, you choose to stay or you choose to admit fault if you've done something wrong. And then after that, you realize that, okay, maybe you need to man up or woman up and then just, put your big boy or girl britches back on and take responsibility for your actions. And whatever the Seven of Swords is, only you will know what that is. Seven of Swords, three of, the Empress in the reverse. Whatever it is that you know that you have done unscrupulously, or what another individual has done unscrupulously, the minute that person takes accountability, or rather, the minute that you accept what has happened, has taken place, then you can choose to plan and make that choice that is in the Lovers. So that way you can move forward and overcome the challenge. So in today's world, let me just go off on a brief rant. In today's world, we live in a society that does not have accountability. And I will say it, and I don't feel sorry for saying it, but there is not enough masculinity in this world where people are genuinely held accountable, like fathers being present in their children's lives. I see a lot of women on social media not taking accountability for actions. And I'm talking about like major shit, like getting stuff that doesn't wash off no matter what medicine that you take and blaming other people for it or saying it's not a big deal. I see people ruining their marriages and relationships and saying, oh, it was their fault. They should have done this for me. Instead of being a fucking adult, they choose to stay in this childlike mentality, this Seven of Swords mentality, sabotaging their lives and never facing the music for it until things get really, really bad. And I'm talking about near-death experience bad, where you have to see the other fucking side of the veil in order to straighten your shit out. That's the type of society we live in today, which is why I'm not really a part of it. I choose to do my own thing, and I've finally gotten very comfortable with the idea that my solitude is an unbreakable peace, an unbreakable bond that I have with spirit now, to where I can fully step into my own element, be happy, and do the things that I love. I read tarot cards, not because I want to get paid, because I'm not getting paid all that much, for this anyway. I do it for the love, and I do it for the reflection and the strengthening of intuition and whatever benefits that come with that. And it is a way that I've had to, use to take accountability for myself, because, I have, I believe, 4 placements in Libra. And not to say that this reading applies to me per se, but I am saying I have been on that part of the, the argument where I've done things, or I've maybe like needed to boss up and take accountability for my actions. And that allowed for me to finally say, okay, how do we tackle this? And in doing so, that allows me to move forward and to create a solution, and then to receive some success later on. So, rant is over. Thank you for listening, if you're still there. That's going to be, well, no, there's not going to be the end of it. Remember, for your oracle message, every word has power. This is about education, power of persuasion, communication, intentional dialogue, or internal dialogue. You have this black heart in the middle of this right here. But the internal dialogue, remember, 40% of people roughly do not have an internal dialogue with themselves. That is a very scary world to live in, where people cannot reflect on themselves. That is what a vampire does. Vampires do not have the ability to cast reflections, and it's because they don't have the ability to self-reflect. So we are living in a vampire world, and maybe a zombie apocalypse too, which is something I stress to people as well. But try to move yourself into this energy as well. Focus on the brilliance. Instead of focusing on the negative, focus on the things that are important in your life. Focused attention, prioritizing, and let me see if I can read that, persevering. And that's pretty much it. Once you can do that, you can then start to materialize positive things in your life. Again, I'm not saying this is your story. This could be someone you know. Take it as it resonates and leave it there. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. I've been all mouthy and stuff, chatting shit to you all. But this is Aluminum Tarot. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so that you don't miss updates, and feel free to leave comments below. That's going to be it. Thank you so much, and until next time, love and light.